Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough when mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I'm going to ask a controversial question here to start off our week, Stugotz. Is Sam Hauser a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird at Le Batard Show?
Shot for your life?
No, different question. That is not the same question.
Okay.
It is not shot for your life. It is simply, is Sam Hauser, because at some point, right, the legends of our youth, we're going to disrespect them the way Anthony Edwards disrespected Kevin Durant during that game.
Everyone except for Michael Jordan. Yep. I'm with you on that.
I think Sam Hauser is a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird. I think all of the skills in this sport have gotten to such a crazy place that the shot that's most valuable, people are better at it today because that's where the money is than they've ever been. Brian Scalabrini said the thing, Stugotz.
Yep, Scal.
He said the code red was ordered and that Eric Spoelstra.
Come on.
What are you shaking your head about, Roy?
Skull.
He'll be on with us later. He was scheduled to be on with us.
Skull's going to be on with us later?
Yes, but he was scheduled to be on with us before he said this. And now he's wandering around telling everybody that Spo ordered the code red. Somebody's going to have to make that Celtics Heat series interesting because it feels, after game one, it feels both in hockey and in basketball like the organizational shifts that have been necessary in these rivalries, that Boston has overtaken Miami organizationally and that the Florida Panthers have taken over the Tampa Bay Lightning organizationally.
This part, though, is very, very important. Are you telling the audience, because it's a big distinction, that we had Scal booked before he said the thing?
Yes.
We're not booking him because he said the thing.
That is correct.
Okay.
I am saying we are not adding flames to this fire on purpose.
All right.
Izzy Gutierrez is here with us. The playoffs in hockey and basketball have me feeling today the sports slothy I feel on Monday only after football.
But how? Nothing started yet.
Yep. Good point.
There have been no upsets. No road teams won. The playoffs haven't technically started yet. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Have the basketball and hockey playoffs actually started yet? Yes or no? Because in basketball, the games weren't even interesting.
No, just the one that I fell asleep on at the. I have no idea how that game ended. I saw the score. I was like, OKC Pelicans. That's the one game, but the rest of them were bad. By the way, it's not a code red because if you take out Jason Tatum, the Celtics are still sweeping the Heat. So slow down, Scalabrini. Slow down.
The Celtics, Stugotz, at one point during that game, I didn't see the final numbers, but 66% of their shots were threes. They never lose when they shoot that way. They often shoot that way because they are completely overwhelming offensively. One of the reasons this series doesn't bode well for Miami is because Miami is not as good at offense as Boston is at defense and is not as good at defense as Boston is at offense.
Well, I don't know if you guys want me to do this because Mike's not here. And, when Mike sort of speaks about his current fandom or lack of fandom when it comes to the Miami Heat, I feel like people are sort of rolling their eyes. Yeah. But I feel like watching this Boston series, just the first game, I kind of understand it now. I understand his position. I'm not fully backing him. I think if you're a fan, you got to stick with it. But I understand his position. When you look at Bam and Jimmy are effectively a duo that is, not a perfect fit, kind of like Tatum and Brown. A duo, not exactly a perfect fit. They've tried to add the pieces around him. They've tried a Kyrie Irving, a Kemba Walker, this guy, and now Kristaps Porzingis. And now, in that time, they've also added a Derek White. They've added a Drew Holiday. Now, that imperfect duo looks like they're on an all-timer type of team. That's all Mike was asking. We've got Jimmy. You've got Bam. Put the right pieces so where 5 years down the road, you have this unstoppable team. He was looking for his, Jason Tatum was looking for his Pau Gasol. He got it in Kristaps Porzingis. Jimmy and Bam still are looking for their Pau Gasol. Give it another year. And this is where I'm saying with Mike is like, don't give up. Give it another year because Woj is telling you Miami's in position to maybe get another big-time player next year. And what will that team look like? It would look way better if you're playing with a Donovan Mitchell in there the same way this Celtics team looks with a Kristaps Porzingis. So the Celtics are actually doing the Heat thing better than the Heat.
Tyler Herro has done some damage to his value over the last few games of inefficiencies. And I don't know about the rest of you as it regards this sport, but I still find it disorienting to see the 7'3" guy shooting from 30 feet.
So well, too.
Why would anybody block that shot? That has been almost the entirety of my life a terrible shot.
Imagine Kareem shooting from that distance.
That's what it's like to see the 7'3" guy do that. I talked to Stugotz, I was surprised by this. I talked to a person that's high ranking in the NBA who would know stuff about player evaluation, who said he would take 13 centers over Bam.
Really?
13 centers.
Huh.
And
Don't talk to that person anymore.
Did he list them?
He did.
Really?
I'm gonna get the list for you. Porzingis was one of them, but one of the reasons for it is the stretching of the floor that Bam doesn't do the way Porzingis does. I still don't think watching that game that Bam wants to be taking the threes. He'll take them, but it doesn't feel like he wants to be taking them.
Not his job. There's a whole other side of the floor that Porzingis could not do any of the things that Bam does.
Izzy, you made good points, but they are playing without Jimmy Butler. I mean, it should be noted.
No. I'm not saying that this Heat team is what it is. I'm saying if Jimmy was there, they would still
You are
be
saying
underdogs.
this Heat team is what it is. That is what you're saying. You're saying it is what it is. I don't know what that is. What is that?
You got me. I'm saying the pieces around them have not gotten good enough over the years. We're still, we have enough. No, it needs to be overwhelming. It used to be back in the day with the Heat Big Three. That was overwhelming talent. What are you going to do with that? Now the talent's more spread out. There's duos all over the league.
It's whelming, you're saying. It's whelming talent.
Yes. And this whelming talent here in Miami is just not enough to get people like Mike excited who have been on this train the entire time.
Mike didn't even watch the Heat game. He was at Panthers. Roy, you're leaving early today because you've got a big Panthers interview, correct?
Yes, we have an interview with Anton Lundell.
Wow. Nice.
How did you feel watching a game in which
My Pillow guy?
No, that's a different Lundell. That's Lindell, actually.
That's your first contribution, letting anyone know you're here today, Billy?
Just asking in
a
case
good
there's
one.
confusion. Yeah.
How did it feel watching a Lightning playoff game and I didn't see Kucherov? Didn't feel him, didn't have any idea where he was?
It felt good. I mean, the Panthers really threw the Lightning off their game plan for the first 15 minutes of the game, and it really felt good. It was a good grind in that game. The first shot for Tampa in the game happened like 7 minutes left in the first period. So
But
really
those
played
next
that game.
3 minutes. Woo.
Okay, all right. They took advantage of the one defensive lapse that the Panthers had on the third opportunity off the faceoff play they had. That's when they scored. That's when Brandon Hagel scored. But outside of that, it was all Panthers.
That whole second period, you weren't nervous even for a second?
No, because the Panthers played very good defense in this game, and it was really good. And it was a very physical game. It wasn't the type of, bulldozing, bowl you over type checking. It was like enough checking to get you off of the puck and take the puck away.
PK Subban said that he wanted more hatred. That was his analysis.
Just the first game of
It's a long road to Lord Stanley, Dan. You don't want to.
Roy, I'm going to call BS on you, by the way, because I do think 1-1 headed to the third. You were nervous just because of the opponent. I do.
No.
Yeah.
No. They really threw the lightning off their game. They really did. 109 hits in that game. Everybody got a hit. I never seen that before. The entire team, both teams, each player got a hit except for the goal.
Why is Subban out here saying that he wants more hatred?
He does. I mean, he wants hockey to work in Florida, and that's apparently
We don't need more hatred. There was no need.
There's enough hatred between these two teams. I mean, regular season, past playoff appearances, there's enough hatred there, and it will build up.
We need more.
Mark Messier's analysis is that the third goal was going to win that game because of what Roy's talking about. The neutral zone was entirely controlled by the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. All the entries that the Lightning had in this game, they pretty much clogged them up. It was a sight to see.
Do the rest of you feel the way that I do on this Monday, the way that you do after a college football Saturday and Sunday? Because I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of sports that there were over the weekend, but it wasn't necessarily good or dramatic. You don't have anything that gave you an excitement, an enthusiasm, a surprise game one win, a road team winning a game one.
A lot of blowouts. All these teams should join a conference. I don't like seeing blowouts in the playoffs.
The rare, boring, exciting weekend.
Nailed it.
Was it?
It was like there was a lot going on, but there wasn't a lot of interesting stuff
I
going
felt
on.
like it's generally how I feel when I go to Vegas. I'm excited when I go there, and by the time I'm leaving, I feel dirty and
Don't
broke.
ever want to be here again.
And it was worse for South Florida fans because it was all over by 3 p.m. And then you've got all these other sports to watch, but you're already hungover.
This is another problem, that all of their games in the first two games, they've got another conflict the next time. They're giving me both games that have stakes that I care about at exactly the same time. I need it spread out.
There was an outlier to this. The Jets beat the Avalanche 7-6.
Yep.
13 goals in that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank
that
you.
was a banger.
Thank
That was
you.
a banger.
You're right.
There was something.
And the
Barn
game that you missed because you fell asleep busy in basketball, C.J. McCollum had a bad shot late. He was well guarded, and they missed Zion at the end.
Got it. Thanks.
I was watching golf yesterday. Nelly Corda. I mean,
And Scotty Scheffler.
yeah,
My
a
God.
couple of stars.
Why is he playing so much?
Take a week off, buddy.
Are you having a kid or not? Jeez,
It was
Louise.
a signature event, so I think there's a bigger purse if you play.
RBC Heritage.
Yeah, the Heritage.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the pros like that tournament.
Yeah, he's tight on money. He needs to.
If you guys were that great at golf, you'd want to play.
I'd never stop playing.
all the time.
Oh, I
You guys
wish.
You guys are sitting here saying, "Why is he playing
we
so
all
much?"
suck at golf.
If
Because
I
he's
was that-
better
Play
than
like
everybody.
If I was that great at golf, I would hate golf because of the amount of time that I need to dedicate to golf to be that great at golf.
But I think what Chris is saying is you just won a green jacket. You just had a kid. Like, take a weekend off.
I don't think he had the kid yet.
No, I don't think
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Stubborn one.
huh.
Oddly enough, he wasn't willing to leave the RBC for the
Wait,
kid.
you think he had the kid in between Sunday at the Masters and this weekend?
That's what I thought.
If he
yes.
had the kid, it would explain why he's playing so much golf.
Billy, what do you feel like you're great at? If you're saying I don't want to put in the effort to be great.
No, I didn't say I don't want to put in the effort to be great. I never said that. Don't put those words in my mouth.
What you said is that kind of greatness, you would hate golf because of the effort that you had to put in to be that great.
I would be tired of playing golf if I was that great at golf because of how much time and effort I would dedicate to golf. It would be boring to me at that point. It'd become a chore.
Stugotz has proven you can dedicate a lot of time to it and not be that good.
Yes, I have.
It's actually stunning.
While telling everybody how great he is at golf. That's the thing.
I can't believe how average he is at golf for how much golf he plays. Like the one time that I played with him, I was like,
Yeah.
this is,
I'm actually impressed by Stu on the golf course because he clearly has a herniated disc somewhere. Like there's an
like
injury
5 of
out
them,
there,
yes,
but
yeah.
he is swinging away.
L2, L3, L4, and I believe now L6 and L7. I believe. I haven't
That's
been
a lot
to
of
the
Ls.
doctor.
in the draft,
Yes, I know.
Stugotz's cure, instead of stretching self-care for all that ails his back for years, is to get the shot that pregnant women get
The big shot.
to give birth, the epidural shot. That is, it's not to repair anything. It's just simply to soak it in medicines.
It's a bridge to the next shot.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Stugotz's golf game a medical shot as a bridge to another medical shot? I have to make it a medical shot because the shots in golf is
I got it.
called shots.
It's a good one, Dan.
It's not a good one. I just have to make
It's a whelming one, then.
the tortured explanation. Roy, go sit outside.
I mean, come on. It's a callback.
It's not that I didn't understand the joke.
2 minutes for
I
a
understand.
callback.
Like, you're explaining jokes too, so.
I know, but I was apologizing for explaining.
Well, I
the
apologize
joke.
as well. So
Well, you're penalized for saying it as well.
Do the Heat fans all feel a little bad because of how excited they were to beat the Bulls in the play-in, and then what happened on Sunday just put them back into like, oh yeah, that's why we were in the play-in? Like, you feel weird, right? It's a weird weekend.
It's hard to see how the Miami Heat are going to win a game in that series because Boston has gotten a good deal better. And if they're going to be healthy, never mind if they shoot like that. If they shoot like that, you have no chance. But, Stugotz, they often shoot like that. I told you earlier this season, there was a game they had in which all 5 of their guys made 3 threes. It was the first time, 5 starters. It was the first time, I think it's happened 3 times ever, and they've done it twice this year. Their shooting is ridiculous.
They had 3 guys with 4 threes in game 1 against the Heat. They had Porzingis. They had White, who's been great. He has been great. And they had your boy Hauser.
I would push back that Heat fans were excited after beating the Bulls. We didn't have Jimmy. It was pretty like we won that game, but
other people were speaking
Jeremy was
for
happy.
the Heat fan after that game. You had Chicago announcers saying Heat culture is a real thing. Spo was basically setting you up for the loss to the Celtics when he said you have to earn your playoff appearance. It's not something that can be given to you, and I don't take for granted making the playoffs. So just telling you, hey, we're still relevant in a sense. My question for you on the Celtics is, do you like watching them play? Isn't that the style of basketball that people just get annoyed by? It's just like tic-tac-toe, easy 3.
If you don't like it, then you don't like what the modern game has become in general. Because they're the ones who have perfected it. They're doing that better than anybody in the league is doing it. So you may have objections.
Golden State started it, though, right? I mean,
yes, but they're doing it better now than anybody. And if you don't like the way they're playing, and they're plenty, Stugotz, Trae Young's available by trade right now. He doesn't play any defense, but the evolution of the game has bothered a great many people because of how it is that you're playing along the perimeter and shooting from 1,000,000 feet away. And all of a sudden, what you used to like about the post and playoff basketball is gone.
Trade Young.
I thought I stepped right on that one. I thought exactly what Stu did. I thought of the Warriors, and that's when I watching them play. I'm like, well, wait a second. It's not just Steph and Clay here. All these guys can hit this 3, and they're going to hit it at a ridiculous clip. And 4 out of 7, not 1 out of 7 games, 4 out of 7 games, they're probably going to shoot it like that. And what are you going to do about it? And so I think that where, you know, the real basketball fans want to see Jaylen Brown cross you over and dunk. They just want to see him get into the lane, 3 more passes. That's a wide open 3. I'm not saying it's boring. I love basketball. I just think that this is where the fans who don't love basketball don't love watching this. And Jason Tatum having a triple-double, but I don't even remember a play outside of him getting clipped.
I'd go another route on this. I would say that I would have preferred the Heat lose against the Bulls so I didn't have to watch what I'm about to watch.
But imagine the Bulls playing the Celtics. If you thought Sunday was bad,
but Dan's saying he'd rather watch that.
I wouldn't watch it.
No, I just wouldn't want to watch it. That's right. You've got it right. But Atlanta, I would have liked seeing Atlanta against the Celtics just because they played them tough a couple times this season.
Kobe White had a night on the beach, huh? I mean,
Trade Young.
Kobe White was not very good down here, but that game feels like it was 1,000,000 years ago. That game against the Chicago Bulls.
It does. And really, like, when I think of Heat fans reacting to that game, I'm just thinking about how last night I opened TikTok and the first video I saw was Jeremy reacting to the Bulls, the win over the Bulls from Friday night. And I was like, why is he so happy? The Heat just lost today. And then I realized it was like a 3-day-old video. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Suspiciously, Jeremy is out today, doesn't want to deal with any of the shame that would be coming his way. A couple of the moments, though, from the weekend in basketball, Stugotz. Damian Lillard with Giannis out. They drag the Pacers, and Damian Lillard, you are seeing here some B-roll of him on the court. Stephen A. Smith has reported that he's unhappy there. A lot of people are talking about if there's a first-round exit, he's going to leave Milwaukee or want to be out of Milwaukee. But this part feels good, where he's at the center of everything. He's been at Coachella the last couple of years during the playoffs. He was lamenting that. And here you can see him mouthing, "This is why you brought me here. This is what you brought me here for." But for me, the thing that I wanted to analyze with you guys, because of how disrespectful it was. So Anthony Edwards has said that Kevin Durant is his favorite player. And on the court, you can see him mouthing some form of "you can't bleeping guard me" when Kevin Durant is on him. Go ahead and enroll that. And so he hits the three in his face, and as they're running down the court, he says to me, "What the bleep did I tell you?" and calls him an old ass right to his face. And the camera angle, unfortunately, shows Kevin Durant's bald spot as he's calling him an old ass.
Think the cameraman went for that? I mean,
I don't think so. I
Hard to miss it.
I do think it's wildly disrespectful, and I'm confused by it, because I know that insults can be a language of intimacy among men. But when you respect someone enough to call them your favorite player of all time, how does Kevin Durant feel running up the court and nodding, "Yeah, I'm old"?
You're undercutting yourself at the knees when you're like, "Oh, I just busted your ass. Oh, but you're old, so I shouldn't really give myself that much credit for it." Which is it?
The Timberwolves liked calling the Clippers old on the sidelines, and you saw, Stugotz, why in that OKC game, why some people don't trust youth in the playoffs, because youth can be knuckleheaded. But Durant is smiling at being called old. He is smiling in Edwards' face.
I mean, he gets it, right? It's kind of like the passing of the torch, that kind of thing.
What do you mean he gets it?
I mean, he grew up idolizing Kevin Durant. Now he's playing against Kevin Durant and beating him.
But gets what, though? It's disrespectful, and as he says it in his face, my guess is the competitor in Kevin Durant is made agitated by it. In this game, they happen to be down 25, but I'm guessing he's smiling in a way that thinks vengeance. He's not smiling in a way that thinks he's actually happy about that.
He should have said back, "You're young and you're a knucklehead." That would have been a good comeback. Youth can be knuckleheaded. You knucklehead.
You tell me how it is that Kevin Durant, you imagine that he's receiving being told that he's old in a game that he's down 25. Because Allen Iverson, when he crossed over Michael Jordan famously at the top of the key, kept it polite. He didn't say anything.
Well, Jordan wasn't old yet.
Well, this is what Kevin Durant is about. Like, Kevin Durant, he's almost the prototype real hooper, is he not? And so the real hoopers, you can take the smack talk, especially when it comes with this level of, I know it sounds asinine, respect from Anthony Edwards, because he's not doing this to anybody else. He says out loud, he's my favorite player ever. Me personally, I would treat my favorite player ever quite differently if I met him or played it against him. But yeah, this is how he treats him, and Katie's all about it.
I'm trying to envision a scenario. What's he doing in this scenario, being respectful down the court? Like, what does the opposite of that look like? Like guiding down the court? Like, here you go, come, guys. Can I guide you down?
Sorry,
Go
I'm doing
man.
this to you, Kevin.
Just
Across
silence.
the street, just fine.
Just silence. Silence would be more respectful.
Let your play speak.
It's just, I'm more respectful than calling him an old ass.
It's more respectful than what Chris calls his dad.
Yeah.
To say it right in his face when the league is indeed sort of at the point where you expect it to be taken from Kevin Durant.
Well, they were probably going back and forth all game, right? And we just have one isolated clip. I'm sure Kevin Durant talked crap to him.
Oh, but I'm
too,
talking
throughout
about
the
the
game.
specifics of the insult is what I'm like. The place
Well, he
where
didn't seem to care. He
the
was just
play
kinda
where it
laughing out.
lands, and maybe he doesn't care, but I would care about that. Is what
You
I
would care if somebody called you old.
If I'm
It's not an opinion, it's a fact.
If I'm in the position that Durant's in, when how often's he been a 6 seed? Like where you see it slipping away, where you see you have to play on their court and you're down 25, and the Beal Booker thing's not good enough this year.
So this is a don't poke the bear situation for you.
No, I'm saying poke the bear. The bear's old. Like, I'm saying fine.
Well, that's what Edwards is saying.
It's no
It's an
problem.
old-ass bear.
But what I'm asking you guys is, you guys are saying Kevin Durant is indeed smiling and meaning it, and I'm like, I don't think so. I'm saying that one hurts in the places you don't talk about at cocktail
I think
parties.
game one. I think game one. This is like it's a long series, Rook. Like he's like, okay, see if you're laughing when it's over.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's 35. Sports are insane.
He's the age of Nicholas Batum.
So it hurts
He's old.
in the anus?
I was hearing from some people over the weekend, Stugotz, asking the specifics of what you're doing for the NFL draft, where it is that you will be, if people will be able to see you, interact with you, meet and greet with you.
I'll be in Detroit-ish, around the area.
Like when you say around the area, you mean like Ann Arbor?
Well, you know what? I asked Billy what I'm doing for draft week, and he said you'll be in Detroit-ish. And so that's where I'm going to be. I think we're doing something Thursday night, a live watch-along for the first round up until the Dolphins pick at a DraftKings sportsbook in the Detroit-ish area.
But you don't know which one it is?
It's
so that you
DraftKings
can
Sports
tell
and Social.
people?
Yeah, DraftKings Sport and Social in Michigan. If you want to go, you can go hang out there. I'm intentionally not telling Stugotz exactly where it is because I need him to get on the plane and get there.
On the bird?
And then once he gets there, he'll get more of the information that he doesn't need to know at the moment. I just need him to get to the airport, get on that plane, and then we're good.
All right.
I think.
Just came back from Detroit.
Yeah. I was surprised to see you today, to be honest with you. I never know what's going on with you. And I'm the person people come to find out what's going on with you.
I'm sorry about that, Billy.
So wait, you're just staying until the Dolphins pick? Don't they have like the 21st pick around there?
It's going to be a long night. Yeah, we're going to be on from 8 p.m. until the Dolphins pick-ish is the plan
So you're
right
skipping
now.
the next 11.
Well, I mean,
who cares?
you have to pay for internet. It's not free. You know what I mean? We're not going to be here until 1 a.m. watching teams pick. We need to know what the Chiefs are going to do at the end of the first round. Who cares? So we'll be here. Stugotz will be in Detroit-ish with Mike Ye. They're going to be reacting live all Wednesday. Stugotz is going to be talking to some draft picks. We're going to be checking in with him. We're going to be checking in with the fans that are there with him in Detroit-ish, Michigan. We're going to be checking with Lucy, who's going to be on the ground. She's going to be doing some off-roading. We're going to be checking in with her for fan reaction. I'll be here manning the ship, Dan. Don't you worry about that. Jess will be here. Tony will be here. Juju will be here. Chris will be here, I believe. Everyone's welcome to attend. Whoever wants to be here is free to come if you'd like.
Dan?
Yeah, no thanks.
Why not? The NFL draft?
I hate all drafts.
Why?
Because I hate them all.
No, he doesn't want us to make fun of his popcorn again.
You guys should be so honored that I would make popcorn for you on a draft.
Can
I
you?
will not. No, I will not be partaking in anything draft related.
Why not?
Deliver?
Because I hate the draft.
It's a big day for the company.
We've already covered
Yes.
this.
Yeah. It's a big draft. It is.
I don't care.
What are the
any
Dolphins going to pick? They got a lot of
more
needs.
about the draft than I did before.
Right. I'm going to it. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
And there are 16, the top 16 picks. There are a lot of quarterbacks needed. So you guys are going to convince yourself that J.J. McCarthy's a great professional quarterback?
Tell me why he's not.
Yeah.
Because I saw him play all of last year, and his coach tried to hide him
National champion.
before getting that 15-0 tattoo that he got this
Draft
weekend.
To be
expert, huh?
fair, they didn't need to throw a lot, so.
That's right, and that is my indication that if they were good at throwing, my guess is they would have.
You know what would be fun to do this week? Let's draft drafts. We'll go around and we'll draft our favorite drafts. Like I would take the NFL draft first.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that would be my
So
first
would your
pick.
military draft be last or first?
Oh, I'm not taking that.
I
Are
mean,
you?
It's on the
doesn't
board.
exist anymore. But yeah.
Thanks
It
for
could.
thanks for your service, or is it? Would you put it? You wouldn't put it last, right? You'd put it somewhere else just to be politically correct, so that you couldn't be too controversial by calling it the worst and the most un-American of drafts, even though it was at one time very American.
DraftKings would be number one, of course.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
with you
Yeah.
guys.
I think
Chris
like
made a
a
bad
draft
pick. I mean,
Miller
yeah.
Lite would be in there somewhere.
Miller Lite draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
The draft, you get up your shorts when you ride a roller coaster with that underwear.
I love
yeah,
that.
real drafty. Yeah.
Can't relate.
Oh,
That
LA.
sounds like a good one.
Is it a good one?
Never been on a roller
Is
coaster.
it the draft up your? Put it up on the poll, please, Juju at Le Batard Show. Is the draft up your shorts on the roller coaster a good draft?
When you're not wearing underwear.
When you're not wearing,
I'm just going by Stugotz's word here.
That's the key. No underwear.
Isn't the king? That's the key to the correct draft, is it?
You're welcome.
Why are you taking thanks?
Just
for
because
this?
that was a good 2 minutes we did there.
Yeah.
Draft talk.
Content.
Well, we haven't done it yet. We were just talking about how the
The
draft may
Mystery
play
Crate
out.
Halloween
Yeah.
candy draft, one of my all-time favorite drafts.
I won that draft.
Is that where we did?
No,
we
you
had to
didn't.
have a candy and
Chris
a
Whittingham
broadcaster.
lost. No, I think that was just that was when Chris took Tootsie Rolls first overall.
Terrible pick.
Which is such a bad pick.
Terrible.
You want the list of 13 centers who are allegedly better than Bam, according to somebody whose basketball analysis.
I'm in the mood for a laugh.
Somebody whose
really
basketball analysis
trust.
you no longer respect. Just
really
say
Who
it.
is this
Just
say
person?
it.
So none
I'm
of us
dying
respect
to
this
know.
person? Yeah.
Nope, I cannot tell you because that is
Sparkly.
a betrayal.
Huh.
I don't know that I would say that I trust all of Charles' basketball analysis. He says a lot of things. I was sad to see the other day, though, that Charles Barkley's show with Gayle King was canceled after 6 months, at least in part because he doesn't have time to devote to being available all the time for that show. Now, I do not agree with this list, but I will tell you, for example, Stugotz, when it comes to Tyler Herro and the Miami Heat's assessments of Tyler Herro, there have been a couple of things in the past that I have relayed about the Miami Heat's assessment of Tyler Herro that have been controversial things. One of them was saying that the Miami Heat thought that he should be aspirationally someone who looked to be like Devin Booker. And more recently, what I said, compounding off of that opinion, is that Tyler Herro is as good as Tyrese Maxey, which he has not been. But what you saw from Jaquez in that first game where he was fearless, we used to say that about Tyler Herro.
Yes.
How fearless he was as a young person. But I do think that one of the things that's finally happening after 5 years, Stugotz, of Boston and Miami fighting at the top of that conference is Miami's mid-first-round picks, Bam and Tyler, have hit where their ceilings are, and Boston's higher picks, the better talents, according to the draft, that haven't needed sort of organizational culture, their higher picks are now growing with compliments and building into a place where Tatum and Brown, their physical skill sets, were drafted higher than Bam and Tyler's and Jimmy. Not that that's always the measurement, but in this case, when it came time to just taking skill sets, Boston has the guys that are taken at the top of the first round, and Miami has the guys that they're doing the most they can with from the middle of the first round. Izzy, what is your assessment as someone who has covered basketball for a long time? What's happened with Tyler Herro? Because I did expect some jumps here that would allow him to be someone who, as a number one, could give you the 40-point game if you needed it. You're not going to be as good as you were with Jimmy Butler, but you weren't going to be that 11-point crud where he's taking a ton of bad shots. You don't believe any of them are going in. You need him to make something from 25 feet, and he's starting a game again. 2 of the last 3, 1 for 9 or 2 for 11.
Yeah, so my take on Tyler is he's ridiculously skilled. I think where you had the comparison to Devin Booker, the part that was sort of you didn't really know was going to happen was his size. Would he fill out? Devin Booker's got a barrel chest. He's got some arms to him, right? He can sort of fend off of contact. Tyler Herro looks frail. He looks so thin out there that when he takes a jumper, it looks like it's affected by the wind somehow. I don't know. It's just really weird. And so
The ball or him?
the ball both,
By a draft,
both.
would you say?
By a draft, actually. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
The draft of his shorts when he's not wearing underwear. Make it a roller coaster for all of us.
You're welcome.
And so, yeah, I just don't think the physicality and this season has been probably the worst possible scenario for Tyler because at some point in the middle of the season, the refs just swallowed their whistles. And so when it was a point where everybody hated the game because everything was a ticky-tack foul, that's a great place for somebody like Tyler because he's ridiculously skilled. But if you have to take on all this contact or if you let people bully you and just take the ball away from you more often than you see most players that happen to, you don't feel like you belong there for certain stretches. And then all of a sudden you'll have him see a game where he scores 30 and has 10 rebounds and 6 assists, and you say, okay, Tyler Herro is a great number 2 or 3 option on a team. It is very difficult to be a lead guy on a playoff team. Even if it's number 8, it's ridiculously hard.
That does happen a lot to him, where he's just dribbling and they take the ball away from him. It's an unusual amount. I also think, Stugotz, that people vastly underestimate when watching the likes of James Harden and Kawhi Leonard how physically strong those human beings are. Like, even among people who are physically strong, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, what their core strength is like something that you probably couldn't fathom if it was posting up on you. Kawhi Leonard again getting just scorched over the weekend by Stephen A. Smith and others because of his lack of availability, Stugotz. And I just would be super frustrated. Anthony Davis has this reputation, played a ton of games this year, but I would be super frustrated if I were Kawhi Leonard or Joel Embiid and I was trying to play all the time and all sorts of things were getting in the way of my availability, and now the media, because my body is betraying me,
Right.
is turning me into someone who's not available. When, given how little Kawhi Leonard talks, I'm genuinely curious whether he's deeply resentful that he feels like San Antonio did this to him. That San Antonio's doctors and its care, given how quiet he is, given that he left there, given that he was a bit of a problem at the end that Popovich was talking about as a problem, it makes me wonder whether some of the things that he's dealing with, because I don't think it's an absence of care, Stugotz. I don't think Kawhi Leonard...
Oh, no, I think Kawhi cares, and I think he has to be upset at the organization, the Spurs organization, for doing, at least in his mind, physically, what they did to him. Yeah, that has to be frustrating. But I also understand guys like Stephen A. Smith coming out and saying, hey, it's the playoffs. Play. Let's go.
I know, but Stugotz, he would if he could.
You're seeing that from Joel Embiid. He wouldn't be playing right now if it was the regular season. He's only doing it because it's the postseason and because he's had so many missed opportunities. This is the frustrating part if you're Kawhi Leonard, if you're Joel Embiid. If I'm Kawhi, I don't even look back at the San Antonio experience because I've had years of doctors being able to treat it. You would think that I would be able to get on the other side of this, but it just keeps happening at the wrong time. And you say to yourself every year, hey, if he's played 20 straight games, maybe this is the year, and then it happens again. And what can you do about that but be frustrated?
He, in his last 8 games, has shot under 50%, last 8 playoff games. That is not him. But He almost went out with what I thought was a career-ending injury that would have been the greatest I've ever seen, which is throwing it off the backboard, dunking, and then just being done for the year. Like doing that to Mitchell Robinson, like just the pride and ego. What a great male way to go out. Just, I'm going to do something so very masculine and also incredibly dumb. We're going to do 2 live hours over the course of this week, so it won't just be on DraftKingsNetwork.com or YouTube for an hour. We're going to be going basically 9 through 11 over the course of the week. And I do want to get to Stugotz's thoughts on Joel Embiid, but before I do so, the source whose basketball knowledge you guys do not trust, but I generally do, knows that this person, he knows that he's in the minority with this and says 9 of these aren't even debatable. That he can give you 5 if he's being charitable, but 9 are not debatable.
So which are the 4 that we can debate?
I'm just going to give you the list, and you
Will
guys
you tell us the 4 so we know? Because
We'll
if
know
it's
the 4,
non-debatable, we shouldn't be allowed to debate it. But when we get to the 4, then we can go.
Jokic, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Wembanyama, Holmgren, Sabonis, Porzingis.
That's where the debate starts for me. You were cooking.
Porzingis?
I got 2 debates already.
Can he be moved off Porzingis? Is that one of the guys or
Nurkic.
Whose list is this?
Nurkic.
Just telling you. That's obviously one of the debatable ones.
Huh?
How are you feeling so far? Because all
I got
you-
4 debatables already, and 1 get the hell off my list.
Jokic?
Jaron Allen, Lopez.
Lights too bright, Jared Allen.
I
That one.
feel like we've gotten to the debatable ones.
Splash Mountain.
Sengun,
You have got to be kidding me.
Sengun?
Hartenstein.
No.
I'm not. I'm.
No.
This is not. It's,
No.
It's not my list. I'm just passing it along. You guys.
You
do,
sure it wasn't the other way around? 4 debatable and then 9 absolutely not.
Well, no, it's the same thing. It would be 9 debatable and 4 absolutely not.
I think we do a very poor job in general of analyzing the defense of players, but I also would say, Stugotz, that in the modern age, and you're seeing it presently with the difficulties the Heat offense is having and why it is that they need to be trading for Rozier, I think spreading the floor is something that is more important now than it has ever been. And he's more limited there than the guys, than some of the guys that I mentioned who can continually bring out somebody else's rim defender because they are on the perimeter. Again, that's not my list, but the reason that I was having the conversation is at least in part because I was legitimately confused in that game against Philadelphia how it is that Bam is having a game where he's taking 9 shots and getting no free throws, and he's being paid like that. The payment comes with expectations. You've seen Tyreek Hill say recently, Stugotz, on a podcast, he was saying that Mike McDaniel questioned him, called him out after the Kansas City game by saying, among other things, like, why are we paying you like that? Aren't you one of the best paid players in the league? Aren't you one of the best players in the league? For those of you who think that Mike McDaniel is meek or too buddy-buddy, saying like, I would never say that to a player of any kind, never mind Tyreek Hill. I would not remind him how much money he is making while questioning how good he is in a playoff game.
Nurkic? Better than Bam Adebayo. That is absolutely insane.
Bam is on the Olympic roster, and a lot of these guys
Captain Bamerica.
I like that.
Don't take it up with somebody else.
Well, some of
Tell
these centers aren't
Stan,
American.
by the way, that he can never put a list together ever again.
A
Bingo.
couple, Billy.
No.
Wasn't Stan?
Not 14.
Tell Jeff.
I'm not playing this game with you guys anymore, though, where I continually deny the sources until you find out who
I mean,
it
it's
is.
just a little like, oh, I'm just going to give you this list, but you can't make fun of who made it because maybe I made it, and then I will sound crazy for putting Nurkic on it.
Oh, what a theory.
It's not my list.
How many times did somebody play the Washington Wizards the last few years and say, oh no, Porzingis is going to make life difficult on me? Get out of here. Yusuf Nurkic?
That's the one, huh?
Again, 5 of these are debatable. But if I'd said to you before the segment started that 9 weren't, if I said to you before the segment
You would
started,
still be wrong.
I
That
will-
list is not correct.
I would not put him outside of my top 9. I value him, his defense, and the things that he does.
But
Put
does,
your name on the list.
does Nurkic spread the floor? He doesn't hit threes. He's worse than Bam, I believe.
He got Draymond suspended, basically. It's all he did.
So Donald leaves Miami for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, secretly throwing shade.
The Lakers-Nuggets series, Stugotz, after all of the disrespect throughout the offseason of Mike Malone and when they were playing last, you realize the Nuggets have now beaten the Lakers 9 straight times. I don't believe that the Lakers have anything that can beat Denver 4 out of 7 games, even though I think Denver is worse than they were last year. Not by much, Stugotz, but I think the things that Bruce Brown and Jeff Green gave them are things that can be missed now when you have young people. But Denver is not just the reigning champion. They're the reigning champion who disrespected the Lakers in a way that was fairly obvious. But now Jokic is saying that the Lakers gave us more trouble than anybody last year, even though they swept the Lakers and, again, haven't lost.
Those were very close games, though. I mean, all 4 of them.
But the Minnesota games for Denver were close too, and some of the Miami games were too, and they swept the Lakers. They haven't lost to them in 9 straight tries.
Tell Nick Wright we don't agree with his list, all right?
Why do you think Nick Wright is somebody
Nick wrong.
who is...
Well, they're not close anymore. He didn't invite Dan to his vow renewal.
That's
Oh,
right.
no.
You're right.
You think of Nick Wright as somebody who's very good at basketball player evaluation?
I don't know. You won't tell us who it
wow.
is.
Yes.
There's one way to
Yeesh.
quickly end this speculation, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Billy. I'm not going to do that. I've already mentioned
Samson.
that I'm not going to do that. You could keep doing that if you want. Did I get ball sacked, or is this Francis Weiss quote right about Joel Embiid and how mad he is about Joel Embiid at one time asking to play for the French national team. And Frederick Weiss, what do you think of when I say that name, Stugotz? Anything?
Vince Carter dunking.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing I think
Speaking of getting ball sacked.
That's correct. Vince Carter jumped over this person in an Olympic game and just jumped over the entirety of his head. It wasn't even like the draping of the dong on the shoulder. It was just right over his head. And this
Not a lot of time for that, Dan.
This is how Frederick Weiss is quoted. This is what he's quoted as saying. He's the Olympic silver medalist. The French won the silver medal after he was jumped over by Vince Carter. Again, he's 7'2", so it was a pretty memorable dunk to be jumped over. I consider this boy a great player. As much as he is a dirty guy, I hate him for the things that he did. I think he doesn't have any respect for France and also for all the people who are asking for a French passport and don't get it. And under the pretext that he is a great athlete, he got it. I find it scandalous. I find it embarrassing. I don't care about his excuses because they are his words, and his words mean nothing.
Why he's taking people out, huh? I mean,
Ouch.
yeah, that hurts.
Frederick Weiss, it's the best defense he's ever played.
It's legitimately the only thing that I know about Frederick Weiss is that.
I mean, boy.
Yeah, that's not
Get
great.
outta here,
Yeah,
man.
that's not great. Yes, that's not great. I do feel, though, Joel Embiid, though, I guess Cameroon, we're not playing for Cameroon. Joel Embiid is playing for America.
Yeah.
We're not quite overwhelming enough.
I'm tired of Joel Embiid. I got to be honest with you. Every 10 seconds, it's drama. He's either hurt, he's on the floor, he's grabbing his shorts, he's grabbing his ankles, he's bent over, he's tired, he's mad at a teammate, he's mad at a referee. He's never mad at himself, though.
Stu.
Never mad at himself. And then that boneheaded decision, when you're already hurt, to toss one off the backboard and throw it home at the Mecca. Are you crazy? That was the dumbest decision in the history of NBA decisions. It was.
And what's he doing at the free throw line on the tech where he thought it was short and goes immediately to his knees? I don't think I could do that with two healthy knees, especially not at his size.
That was weird.
You're tired of Joel Embiid?
Just that everyone talking about this generational big man. He does things that no other big man has ever done. You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't win. He doesn't stay healthy. He doesn't stop complaining. He doesn't every 10 seconds reach down and act like he's the most exhausted guy on the NBA court. It's annoying, Dan. He's become annoying. You want to know why? He hasn't won anything. Bam's better.
You said that's the dumbest decision in the history of basketball decisions?
Roy, you're already hurt. And you're doing that type of dunk at Madison Square Garden. What are you doing?
You forget about J.R. Smith?
Oh.
It just looks like it hurts to be Joel Embiid.
It
That's
does.
my take on him.
Yeah.
That looks painful.
Just being
all of
him.
It. Yes.
Yeah.
There is no one in the sport better at letting you know he's tired.
I mean, thank you.
Wow.
Luka.
No.
Oh, and enough of him, too. I mean,
Embiid's good at it.
if I have one more person tell me Luka, the best offensive player they've ever seen in the history of the NBA, get the hell out of
You've
here.
only had one person tell you
Well,
that.
get the hell out of here, whoever that one person was.
And take your list with you, Stan.
It's not Stan's list.
It has to be.
What do you mean it has to be?
If it was, you probably would say it wasn't to protect him.
If it's Matt Barnes' list, that's okay. I'm not going to tell him anything.
It's not Stan, it's Justin.
Have we named the person already?
I'd be so tired of hearing from all of you if I were Joel Embiid and my body just didn't work right and I'd had 8 straight under 50% efficiency games because I keep trying to get out there because it's an important time of year and the process has nothing to show for the process other than me. There's like nothing. They had all these first-round picks, and they needed to hit on 2 of them, and they only hit on 1.
Well, whose fault is that? I mean,
Not his. Not his. What, are you going to blame him?
If he played for the Heat, you guys would be like, "Oh my, everyone's so mean to him. He can't control how his body has failed him."
I'm
If he
doing
played
that.
for the Heat, he'd be at 9% body fat and probably wouldn't have all these issues.
I'm doing that, and he doesn't play for the Heat. I do feel
Yet.
bad for him. He doesn't play for the Heat yet.
It's your list, isn't it?
No.
Val's?
It is. It's Valerie's list.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan, and we're in the chat room today with Academy Award-winning actor Denzel Washington. Enjoy this throwback interview from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
I wonder if Denzel himself thinks he's cool.
Well, keep talking. Keep going. I'll act like I'm not listening.
All right. Well, he's saying you're cool, and I'm saying I wonder if you think you're cool. Your family knows. The family always knows your secrets. They know you're kind of dorky, right?
I'm not cool in my house. No, I'm not cool in my house.
Right.
No.
But in general,
No.
you do consider yourself to be cool, right?
It's not for me to say. No, no. I can't say that.
Yeah.
I'll say it for you.
All
You're
right.
cool.
You already did several times. Knock it off. Can I do this interview?
And thank you. And thank you for every time you said it.
Fences in theaters Christmas Day. Can you explain to the people why it is that this means so much to you? And have you ever done anything like this?
Well, it's the best material I've done. It won the Pulitzer Prize. It won multiple Tony Awards. As a screenplay itself, I think this is the best one.
Have you ever been surprised by the success of a movie that you thought wasn't going well while you were making it?
But you don't know when you're making it. You know when you're making a bad one.
Do you?
Yeah, about 3 days in, you're going, oh, boy.
Wait a minute. Virtuosity. Virtuosity. Did you know you were making a bad one? Or
I'm not going to say you said it.
Come on, Denzel.
You just threw the director under the bus, not me.
All right. Fair enough. I did it, not you. New movie Fences is in theaters Christmas Day, and you're playing a garbage man, correct?
Yes, I actually was a garbage man once.
How long were you a garbage man?
Not long. Not long.
How long?
Not
But
long.
how bad a job was that? Tell us how bad a job that was.
Back-breaking work, man. Back-breaking
How
work.
bad did you come home smelling?
You never get that smell off you. Ever.
Yeah, it's
I
bad.
still smell like that. No,
It's so hard for your co-stars in the
man,
sex
you know.
scenes. So you're a 6-time Academy Award nominee. Is there one time above all others that Denzel Washington thought he was robbed?
I haven't been robbed of anything. I still have everything that was given to me. So I haven't been robbed. You know, it's sour grapes. Yeah, you know. I should have 3 Oscars instead of 2.
Give me that
It
one.
was me.
Give me that one. Give me that one, Denzel. I'm asking. You're not bringing it up. I'm bringing it up. The one that you're like, I should have 3. I should have 3.
There's got to be one.
Virtuosity.
Yeah, they should have given me that. Okay, you brought it up. All right, let me be honest. They didn't nominate me for Virtuosity. It was about a good year. It was a good year, I will tell you. You know, I wasn't going to bring this up, and I'm asking you now to please not share this with anybody. But I knew I was the best in Virtuosity. I was brilliant in Virtuosity. Don't get me started. Let me do my acceptance speech for Virtuosity.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the Academy, you know, I want to thank you when you were so kind and no, I'm not humble enough. Let me start again. No, I got to get the tears going. Wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen of the Academy, I'm just so humbled that you recognize my great action abilities and virtuosity, and I want to thank the director even though I forgot his name. And this is terrible. This is tough, he's got a family too. The great move. You guys are making fun of me.
Oh no, we are not. No,
You would never do that.
We're making fun of virtuosity. That we're making fun of. Not you.
Remember the Titans, for me, for many of us, was an absolute perfect movie. But when you look back at that final seed and how you won that football game, do you say to yourself, we probably could have done that a little bit better?
You can't win on an 80-yard reverse, Denzel.
Why not?
Because that's not going to fool anybody.
It did. You didn't see the movie?
I did.
Fooled everyone.
Sunshine.
Fooled everybody.
Sunshine's not going 80 yards on the final play. What is that?
And it was high school.
We've gotten him mad at us.
Yo, now I'm pissed off. I liked you guys right up to now, but what do you mean? That was a backdoor reverse. Well, no, it was something reversed with a backside George, they called it. Something reversed with a backside George. Yeah, of course.
Last question. You turned down 7?
Stupidest thing I ever did.
Oh, you were going to
turn down 7 and Michael Clayton.
Oh, wow.
Man, I know. I know.
That's okay.
But let me tell you this.
You took virtuosity, though.
Virtuosity.
I heard for the first time, Stugotz, a theory I had not heard on the bogus and unfair claim around the nation that has sort of sunk into the Miami Heat fan base, where people say of the Heat fan base that it is not a fan base that is present all the time. Even though they've sold out every game since 2010. It's a longer streak than the Warriors. It's the 6th longest streak in NBA history. You start playoff games early for the Miami Heat. If you know anything about what's happening in Miami traffic these days and the specifics of how poorly we're built Bayside, you would know how hard it is to get to that arena on time. But my mother, who is somebody who is constantly helping people, Stugotz, and adults who come to this country and end up in the life of my mother. She gave a couple of guys new to this country from Somalia some Heat tickets. And I now have a theory for what's happening at Heat games that leaves it somewhat sparsely populated, because I think this is happening all over the place at Heat games. They hadn't been to a Heat game before and are new to this culture in general. Everybody at halftime got up. And so they got up and left because they thought it was over.
Oh, no.
I don't know about that.
Thank you, Billy. I wasn't serious.
The first
Thank you, Billy. At least you didn't say it while eating your breakfast. You don't know about that. You're questioning it. You don't think that's what's happening with 10,000 people?
Was it your mom's list?
Have we gotten to the point yet, Stugotz? I was asking Jessica this, where Jackson Dart and Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, they're getting private planes now as part of their NIL deals. And,
I love that.
I do too, but I'm wondering when the backlash is going to start on not loving that, on people not loving that, because sure, I love that for college football, less for the environment.
But for college football, it's great. It is. But you think people are going to start getting angry at how much college kids are making playing college sports?
I would think, Stugotz, that if you were going to get angry about that, about the place that you would get angry about it is Ole Miss's quarterback getting a private plane NIL deal.
I'm old enough to remember when people said if you drove a fancy car, if you were part of a college team, that your teammates would resent you. I remember Teddy Dupay at the University of Florida. I guess his dad was a doctor or something, driving around a Lexus, and he also had a little illegal gambling ring, whatever. But yeah, people were saying, wow, Teddy Dupay, like, why are you showing off all this money?
It was a big deal. You're right.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I mean, yeah, I'm good. It was reported, and it's already out there.
You have to say it again, though.
25 years ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have to say it again.
All right, but I mean, if you're going to accuse someone of a gambling ring,
I'm not accused.
Okay.
Just telling a story that actually happened. Also, we share the same birthday.
It was a big deal when Corey Maggette was driving around Duke with a Corvette. It was a big deal. People were upset about that.
Izzy, go ahead and sit in the penalty box. Put it on the poll.
Wow!
At Le Batard Show. Do you care at all that Izzy and Teddy share a birthday?
And Derek Jeter.
Corey Maggette.
Yeah,
Remember when LeBron James couldn't play high school games because he got a Hummer?
Is that true that he couldn't? I remember it was a controversy, but I don't remember him actually being suspended. Did he actually
they suspended him, and then I think that they went. I'll look it up.
Jeez. Are Cybertrucks the new Hummers? Like, they're an ugly big truck that don't make a lot of sense to own, and now they're being recalled.
The Hummer is, and always has been, hugely confusing to me as a vanity vehicle. So uncomfortable, so clunky, so ridiculous, just not a comfortable ride in any way.
Really? I saw one as a kid, and I always thought it was kind of cool. But like the old, like the H1, like the original, like Army-style Hummers, now they have electric Hummers, which I feel like Mr. Hummer is like rolling over in his grave, the idea of an electric Hummer.
They really tried to make that into the next Jeep, which is a military vehicle turned into a civilian vehicle. Like, it just did not work.
You tried out a Hummer?
I've been in.
A little test drive?
a Hummer, and I found the shock absorption not to be great. Just like I don't find it to be great in the Jeep either, because I find that. But the Hummer is a ridiculously boxy vehicle that doesn't. He doesn't know where the penalty box is.
No,
is he just walking around?
He's just walking around.
I saw him ask for directions.
Like John Travolta.
I saw the rest of you just point out to him where it is that he has to go.
I feel like if you were mad about athletes being paid by brands, you were already mad, and the private jet is not going to like find a new group of people that are newly angry. Like those people have been angry for a few years.
Greg Cody. Yeah.
I mean, the idea, Stugotz,
Is it Greg's list?
of a private jet for a college quarterback is a space that I never imagined in my wildest imagination of when the injustices stopped in college sports, that they would stop so thoroughly that they would overcorrect there. Is a place that I did not have anywhere in my wildest imagination. As I mentioned, Brian Scalabrini is going to join us. He has said the thing. He has accused the Miami Heat of dirty play, Caleb Martin of dirty play, Eric Spoelstra of ordering the Code Red. Every time I now hear of Code Red, what I think of, Stugotz, is the missed opportunity of our show to sign Shannon Sharpe to a long-term contract when he asked for some money after doing this on our show.
We live in a world that has walls, and these walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago, you curse the ring. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my appearance, grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth that deep down in places at parties, you don't talk about it. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words on a backbone of a lifetime spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man that rises and sleeps under the blanket of freedom that I provide and then questions the manner in which I provide it.
Ethan Skolnick, Stugotz, of 5 Reasons Sports, they do a great job covering the Miami Heat. They are feuding with Kendrick Perkins and, in general, ESPN, saying that ESPN's coverage is embarrassing, at least in part, because Kendrick Perkins is saying that the Miami Heat can shoot 100% from all parts of the field and they will still get swept by the Boston Celtics. And
that is ridiculous. I mean, the Heat would win. Right?
That is correct. If they shot 100% from the field, they would indeed win. That is true. That is not great analysis. I very much enjoyed all of the basketball coverage from ESPN. I do think we get very used to difficult things being done well. So when they have a glitch in audio at the beginning of the Orlando-Cleveland game, they catch a lot of slack because their playoff coverage is beginning that way. But I thought the coverage, the games especially, great. Not. I'm talking about the coverage of the games, not the actual games. Right. I'm talking about the games. But the studio shows in general, that's something that Adam Silver and the NBA has had a problem with almost the entire time that I've known of ESPN and that they've had studio shows, because it's always compared against the standard, which is Barkley and TNT, and it always pales compared to that. But you're just filling a lot of studio shows with noise and noise in tight spaces, and so some dumb things are going to be said because you just exist to get to the next batch of commercials. You're there giving 90 seconds of analysis and getting out. It seems like a waste of time.
It's an unfair comparison or standard, isn't it, from Adam Silver? Like, to compare what ESPN is doing against TNT. It is the greatest pregame show in the history of
I'm just telling you, the reason they've had so much turnover over the years with those studio shows is at least in part because of the NBA's dissatisfaction with those studio shows. They've wanted something better. Brian Scalabrini is in the middle of it right now. He is catching heat from every angle. Clearly, Drew Holiday pushed Caleb Martin into Jason Tatum, but Scalabrini is out here calling dirty play. He is saying that the code red was ordered. So tell me how you imagine, Scalabrini, and it's good to see you again. Tell me how you imagine that code red was ordered. I should tell you on the front end that the reason the timeout was called with a minute and a half left is because he was challenging something on the court. It was not, I don't believe, to tell somebody to injure Jason Tatum.
No, you guys got to understand the code red in the NBA is not we're going to go out there and injure your best player. It's we're getting blown out. We're going to go out like this. This is a 7-game series. We got to make a stand. And I mean, listen, I don't have a problem with the play. Just like I thought the play was Bush League in the sense of he ran into it. He took advantage of it. He braced himself. He ran into Jason Tatum while he's in the air. Normally, that would happen with Tatum falling into the cameraman in the front row, but he got his legs taken out from underneath him. So I thought that was a Bush League play. But also remember, see, I'm not jaded by all this. When Jaylen Brown did that thing to Duncan Robinson, I thought that was Bush League too. And my response when that happened was, I'm not sure the Miami Heat are the team you want to do, like questionable fouls against, because they always will get the last laugh on this one. And that's exactly what happened in that game. And I didn't want a foul to happen to our superstar player where he ends up being out because Jaylen Brown, yanks on Duncan Robinson's arm. But I'm sure when you guys saw that play, you were thinking, oh, I can't believe Jaylen Brown would do this. And then I'm sure when D Wade rolled up on Rondo and almost dislocated his arm, you probably had this, well, what was Rondo doing in the way? So I see it from both sides, and my problem with the people who follow the Miami Heat is you guys only look at it one way.
Well, Scal, let me ask you this, because if it's one thing is as you said, Caleb Martin was trying to be overly physical. Maybe, it's not really in his history. He doesn't really know how to do it and went a little over the top. But I think where people might have had an issue with what you said is the idea that Eric Spoelstra, who, many people believe is the best coach in the league and who has been through this before, would then order that at that point of the game. That, to me, sounds like a disrespectful element of your take there. And so I'm just wondering what it is like, what it sounds like, you touched on it there, when a coach does order the code red, let's say at the beginning of a playoff series like this.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. They show the Jaylen Brown twist on Duncan Robinson's arm. Let's say the Miami Heat show that play 6-7 times in a row before the series. Okay. Is that planting a seed? Is that saying we're not going to let this team do this to us? Is that saying, this is what they did to us. This is what we got to do to them. Are you guys thinking that the Miami Heat went into the series and did not show that play to their players?
I'm thinking that, yes, that play might have been shown. I don't think that they said retaliate in the same way.
No, well, okay. And then do you think that during that timeout, or during any timeout, by the way, do you think that Eric Spoelstra says, come on, guys, we're down by 32. We're just going to lay down and get punked? We're not going to send a message? Now, I'm not saying he said, go run over Tatum and hurt him. I'm saying, come on, guys. We're going to send a message to these guys. We're on a long series right here. This is what we're going to do. Now, if you think that was not said throughout that game when they're getting punked by the Celtics, if you think that was not said, then I think you guys don't buy into your Heat culture of the biggest, strongest, nastiest, toughest team in the NBA. They're the ones that put it down in the paint, right?
Yeah, I believe
They're the ones that lay it out there.
I believe that was said throughout the game, and I believe the response you saw was in the fourth quarter where they got the game back to 14. This element, this part of the game where Caleb Martin took him out, that was after they showed, hey, we got some fight in us, yada, yada. So this, again, to me, was Caleb Martin just trying to do something, be a little bit overly physical, not really great at it, and maybe got shoved by Drew Holiday. So I just think the implication of the coach ordering that is probably where people are like, I don't know about that.
So this is how you would feel if Draymond Green ran into LeBron James?
Draymond Green and Caleb Martin, two totally different resumes.
I'm just asking the simple question. If Draymond Green went up and just, bam, trucked, let's use any player, the national media is saying, it's all good. It's not a dirty
They're not
play.
saying,
they're saying Steve
Kerr
ordered the code red, though.
No, I wouldn't definitely. No, that historic. The Golden State Warriors don't have the baddest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. They don't have that on in the middle of their court.
Scal, let me help you out.
And by the way, listen, you guys don't get it twisted from my point of view. I love what the Miami Heat do. I love the way they play. Jimmy Butler is a hard guy for me not to like. Like the way that he brings it every single day. I get it. He's hurt and all these things. Like I have zero problem with the Miami Heat. I got zero problem with them. I know that this thing had gone back and forth before. And I told you guys when the Duncan Robinson thing happened and I was on the postgame show, I was like, dang it. Because if we face these guys again, they're going to use this play. And I would hate for one of our guys to go down and them using this play as a rallying cry. Do you really think that the Miami Heat did not use that? Which, by the way, I thought that was a Bush League play by Jaylen Brown as well. So I am just bringing up the simple fact that no one from the Boston media brought this up and no one from the Miami Heat media brought this up. So I have to make sure that you guys understand what the real story is going into game 2, because it is not the Miami Heat beating the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. The story of this series is this. This is the story of the series.
Scal, let me help you out. Izzy, what he's saying is a code red is not directly ordered. He doesn't say, Caleb, hey, go hurt that guy. He insinuates it. That's all Scal is saying.
So Kelly Oubre did not get the code red. He just accidentally hurt Jimmy, right?
This is from Tim Reynolds. Scalabrini on Sirius NBA Radio repeats his claim this morning that Caleb Martin was dirty and Eric Spoelstra ordered the team to not lay down in the timeout, even made the code red allegation again. He also goes after Miami media for ignoring this, and then the dismount. Hold on.
That's not true.
Hold
that's
on.
Not true.
And then the
If you're
dismount.
going to say, no.
Hold
I'm
on.
not gonna allow
Hold
Tim
on. One
Reynolds
more
to do
word.
that. No.
One more word.
We're not going to just.
Yawn. Yawn is what Reynolds says. Yawn.
No, I don't care what Reynolds says. I am mad at
I'm with you.
The Boston media at this one. I'm not Miami. Why would they call out Eric Spoelstra? I get that. I'm mad at the Boston media for not challenging Joe Mazzulla in saying, do you think that was a dirty play? 31 seconds after Eric Spoelstra calls a timeout. That's all I said. Look, I have the Miami Heat media, I do not expect them to make this a story. The Boston media, I expect them to make it a story. So listen, I'm just going to be as clear. I'm not ducking or running. I'm saying if you're going to get my word, just get it right. Yes, I think Eric Spoelstra challenged his team. Yes, I think Caleb Martin made a dirty play. Yes, I expect dirty plays throughout this series because the Miami Heat are in an uphill battle. And yes, I was mad at the Boston media for not making this more of a story.
You can't handle the truth.
I've got a couple of questions for you that might be a little bit sacrilegious. Is this the best Boston Celtics team you've ever seen?
I was on the 08 team, so the best team I've ever covered by far. But I would say the margin between them and the next best, you know what? Like, I'm a big fan of the Denver Nuggets. I'm a big fan of Jokic. I just think, they're much better than people want. For whatever reason, people don't love Jokic and love the Denver Nuggets. That dude is nasty, man. He is tough to stop. So the margin between those two teams and the rest of the NBA is wide. But I don't, this team is definitely the best team that I've covered. And I started covering a team in 2012.
Here's the other conversation I want to have with you, and I'm really interested in what your answer is to this. You proved to people a long time ago in a challenge how great you actually are at basketball, people who call you a scrub or whatever, by going after a bunch of guys who challenge you and dusting all of them. When I say the following, you agree or disagree? Sam Hauser is a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird.
He'll never agree. He'll never agree, ever.
Yes or no?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Different era. Yeah, that's easy. You said three-point shooter?
I said long range. I said long-range shooter.
No. Now, Larry Bird grows up in this era. I don't know the answer to that, but dude, Hauser's nasty from three. He grew up living on that line. Larry Bird grew up playing one-on-one, and they played in the paint. So you can't compare the two.
Shot for your life, Scal. This is how we settle it, okay?
It's not how we settle it.
The guy has to you have to choose one of these two guys to hit a three-pointer, and if he misses, you're dead. All right?
Oh, Larry Bird all day.
Thank you. Case closed.
Okay.
You're living, Scal.
Well, wait a minute. What
100%.
What are you doing?
It's a different game.
It's a different game,
for sure.
though.
For sure, I'm taking Larry. You want me to live or die? Come on, man.
Sam Hauser.
You know why?
With your life on the line.
Because I think Sam Hauser's such a good guy. He'd be he would go into it being like, I better not kill Scalabrini. Larry Bird would not give a you-know-what.
Okay, so the reason that Larry Bird is someone you're trusting is because he doesn't care whether or not he ends your life. He just knows he's going to make the three-pointer.
No, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. He doesn't care whether he ends my life, but he does care about winning basketball games there, and that means more than the pressure of someone dying. That's just the way Larry Bird was. That's how he rolled.
Again, though, those are two different games because you just said flatly something I'm not sure people are willing to agree to because you're right, different eras. But once you start sacrilege against Larry Bird and Michael Jordan's era, I believe a lot of people won't go that way with you. And I'm saying, and you would say, that Hauser as an efficiency specialist is better, period, than Larry Bird from distance.
That's like saying, are people faster than Larry Bird? Yeah, some guys are faster. Larry Bird can shoot the ball. There's no doubt. I mean, this is not really a real conversation. It's not, you can't compare the eras because one guy probably shot threes his whole life from the time he was 10 years old. And the other guy probably didn't have a 3-point line when he started playing. So it's like, it's not actually fair to do the comparison.
I'll decide what's fair and what's not fair around here. You came on here talking about code reds and dirty.
You invited me on. It's not like I got nothing to do. I got a million things to do today. So you said, by the way, how funny is it? And people, they didn't invite me on after I said what I said. They invited me on before. That's amazing. You guys are amazing.
You're kind of making it sound more like it's like a code yellow or maybe like a code dark orange
or a Baja
Blast,
yellow.
Yeah.
But Code Red sounds better. You know, like how many people do you think know the reference of A Few Good Men? A lot or a little?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do a lot of people know what the Code Red reference means from A Few Good Men? It is 30 years old, the movie.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right.
Good. Nice.
Scal, how many centers in the NBA do you think are better than Bam?
2?
Thank you. I love you again, Scal.
Stan Van Gundy said there's 13.
That is not true. That is not true.
Some guy sanguine from the Rockets.
That is not true. That is not Stan Van Gundy.
Dude, people listen, even though I'm a Celtic guy and all that, dude, my key to the series is Bam Adebayo. I think the guy is ridiculous. And what people don't factor in is points created by Bam Adebayo. That's the problem with stats. Like the dribble handoff series, the screen series, like all that stuff is created by him. That he goes away. If the Miami Heat were good, it wouldn't be Jimmy Butler that deserves the MVP. It would be Bam Adebayo. People are crazy.
How do you compare him to Yusuf Nurkic?
Not even close. Not even close. Can you imagine if Bam was on the Suns? They would be a championship level team.
Seriously.
Can you tell me when you say you were on the championship Celtics, as I recall, that Celtics team took more games to win the championship because of how often you went to 7 games and the changes in formats than any other team ever had to win a championship. I believe these Celtics are better, Brian. I believe they've been more crushing to their opposition, that there's bigger distance between them and everyone they're playing. The game they played yesterday, they've been playing all season, just like that, where they win by 20 and 30 points and make it look super easy because if they're not the best three-point shooting team ever, they're right there with any that's ever shot a basketball.
Yeah, so sometimes there's like adjustments to that, right? Like when the Warriors first started shooting the three, like it took the league a while to catch up. You know, the Celtics are at a time right now where the teams have been searching for 5 guys to play all 5 out, 3-point shooting and defensive versatility. The Celtics just happen to have like a good group, like their draft assets, and they were able to land like a Porzingis and a Holiday to push to move the needle. So what I would say is like when you look at the margins, like the margin between them and the next team, they're a year ahead or 2 years ahead of everybody else, just like the Warriors were when they won that first championship. They were just lapping the field with their motion offense. So I do think this is like the first time we've ever seen a team like that. I think it becomes really difficult to guard. The difference between our team is we weren't very different than any other team. We walked the ball up. We executed just like most teams. Defensively, we were, arguably one of the better defensive teams in the history of the league, and that's what we hung our hat on. But Also, when you go through those game sevens against Atlanta, like we got blitzed in transition, turnovers killed us. Like there wasn't enough offensive margin for us to sweep teams 4-4-4. So that's where if you match us up, our physicality is very different. But let's be honest, like our boy Kendrick Perkins, come on, he's not playing in a series against this team. And he was like a catalyst for us defensively. So the game has changed a lot.
Brian, good talking to you. Always good talking to you. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry,
Right,
Scal. I love you,
you.
Scal. I listen to you and Frank every day.
We're good. We're good. We're good. We're
Don't
good.
apologize to him. Stand your ground. Don't apologize to him.
We're good. I just want everybody to know, like, I'm a fan of everything the Heat do, but it's odd that everything gets swept under the rug. That's all I'm saying.
He's the co-host with Frank Isola of the Starting Lineup weekdays on Sirius XM NBA Radio. He's also the Celtics analyst on NBC Sports Boston. Clearly biased and compromised. Thank you, Scalabrini.
See ya later.
We've talked about hockey and basketball and golf already this morning. We haven't talked about baseball yet, Dan. And we're not going to talk about the Marlins because they didn't do anything important this weekend at all. Nothing to talk about there. But something very interesting did happen with the Rockies. I don't know if you saw this video, but apparently the Rockies hitting coach filmed himself in the cockpit of their chartered flight from Denver to Toronto. And now the FAA is investigating this because this is very illegal. And this is a video of him sitting in the cockpit mid-flight while they're cruising. And I don't know what will happen, but the pilots, I think, have already been suspended for this.
Okay, you're away. Flying the plane, Toronto. Anybody here? Is your first officer? Another officer. Andy's nervous. I'm landing this tonight. Are you landing it? I'm going to land the plane tonight. Yeah. So relax. Okay, we're really relaxed. Yes.
I didn't realize that flight was in the air. I thought that was something that was happening on the ground. You're mentioning baseball here, and I have an incredibly sad list of all the teams in sports and their most famous fan.
Another list.
Who made this one, Dan?
I'm seeing it on something called Brooksgate. But the Marlins, now there are legitimate celebrities all over this. Eminem for the Tigers, Snoop Dogg for the Dodgers, Will Ferrell for the Diamondbacks, Paul Rudd for the Royals. The Marlins' most famous fan. The White Sox have Barack Obama. The Marlins' most famous fan is Marlins Man.
Wow.
I called that back here. I called that.
You shouldn't be proud of that. No one should be proud of that.
Exactly.
Gloria Estefan has to be a Marlins fan.
No.
I feel like Dan's more famous than Marlins Man.
Marlins Man is
certainly Billy.
Not great. I'm a little bit surprised that that's the best that the Marlins can do.
He has to have that framed, whatever that is.
Stugotz, I have in front of me also the number one coach that other players in the league in the NBA would least like to play for. Do you know who that coach is? He has been named this coach 3 years in a row. The coach that other players in the league would least like to play for.
Tom Thibodeau?
That is correct.
Thibs.
But
we
why?
don't want you anyways.
He's got the Knicks in such a great spot.
Yeah.
Because he's going to play you 50 minutes a game, and he's going to treat all of the practices as if they're too important, and he's going to turn your knees into sawdust over time.
And he'll be up 1-0 on the Sixers. I mean.
Not very often.
How's Elton John a Braves fan? I'm looking at this list, and that seems odd.
I kind of want to look at this entire list now.
I can go ahead and give them to you all.
I would love Elton John
Yes.
talking Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yes, the Cubs are Bill Murray. The Red Sox are Mark Wahlberg. The Orioles are Edward Norton. The Mets are Jerry Seinfeld. The Yankees are Jay-Z. The A's are Bruno Mars. The Phillies.
Snoop Dogg is a good get. Like, there are a lot of famous Dodgers fans, and they went with Snoop Dogg as the most famous.
I did not know that Charlie Sheen was a Blue Jays fan. Did you?
I don't think he is.
So you're questioning the authenticity of the list is what you're doing.
Giannis is the biggest Brewers fan there
he's a
is,
Pittsburgh guy. That makes sense.
according to this list.
But that does
my
make
mic
sense.
was on while Izzy and I were discussing Michael Keaton being the biggest Pirates fan. He is a Pittsburgh guy, but Jeff Goldblum I feel like could be on that list too.
Roy is gone now. Did Roy go? Did he leave to make sure that he could be just closer?
He's the most famous Panthers fan.
To the scent of the Panthers.
Charlie Sheen is a Reds fan.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Bill Nye the Science Guy
Not a-
is
not a-
team?
a Mariners fan.
According to this list, Hootie is the biggest Reds fan there is.
The Panthers won a game one to open a postseason run, Stugotz, for the first time in 7 tries. It has been since 1997
They were due.
that the Panthers have won a game one to open a series. Did you go, Chris Cody?
I was there. Little noon game, noon start, got the playoffs started, even though they
nooner.
haven't started yet. But yeah, it was exciting. It's the opposite of what's going on with the Heat because the Panthers actually have a chance to win this, and every Heat fan is just knows that the season is over.
The Panthers, I would say, I was trying to think of this. Obviously, the LeBron, Wade, and Bosh team was the team that entered any postseason as feeling most championship worthy. But because this Panthers team is better than any that there has been and better at the playoff style of hockey that any there has been, I believe that this is one of the most championship-worthy teams that South Florida has ever sent into a postseason. The problem is that not only is this sport super random in the playoffs, and not only can you lose to any hot goaltender, there are about 6 teams in the league just as good as they are.
Right.
And so it makes it sort of it's difficult. This season will not be a success if it doesn't go as far as last season does. But they will not feel like what it is that I'm saying unless they do that, Stugotz, because I really do believe this is as championship worthy as something I have seen headed into the postseason that isn't, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, which were always going to feel like that.
They are worthy. They are good enough. They're talented enough. But the hockey playoffs, as you know, is so random. And sometimes a hot goalie will get the better of a better team. But the Panthers are good, Dan, but so are the Bruins, and so are the Rangers, and so are the Carolina Hurricanes, and there's a ton of good teams just in the Eastern Conference, and that's before they get out west, where there are some better teams playing out west.
But this has never happened before for the Panthers fan base, where they could feel like this headed into the postseason. And in fact, Stugotz, the last time it felt like this was on the buoyant false hope, because their offense was so good during the regular season, that Huberdeau and the rest, because it was the best offense we've seen in the sport, would be able to do something in the postseason. And then they ran into these uniforms, not this team, but this Lightning uniforms, and they were immediately swept, immediately strangled, immediately suffocated in a way that everything that they were good at was no longer something that could be recreatable in the playoffs.
Well, as Billy would know, lifelong Panthers fan, as am I.
Ice Cats.
And
if you actually watched the broadcast, you would feel so proud as a Panthers fan because they talk about Panthers hockey, like they have an identity, and they even the people who talk about it in a way that it is the best way to play hockey. And then when you watch and you can tell the difference between the way the Panthers play in the neutral zone, between the way the Panthers play when they're on the special teams, we're not on the power play. What's the opposite when you're shorthanded?
Power kill.
When you're killing. They play entirely differently, and they have this physicality about them. And then yes, they happen to score goals as well, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is watching them play physically, watching them sort of strangle the other team. And when you hear the announcers talk about it, it's like Mike says, you feel like you're one of the original 7.
They stepped up their pregame hype video too. They have new speakers now. They've invested money because for years I crushed.
New speakers, huh?
You couldn't hear any time anyone was talking in the arena.
Right.
It was just terrible. So they've stepped that up. I had 3 Goosies in one hype video.
Wow. But from a fan standpoint, it's nearly impossible, as good as your hockey team is or your baseball team, those two sports in particular, to feel like, okay, we were good in the regular season, we're definitely going on a run, we're going to win the Stanley Cup. Just because of the randomness of the postseason in those two sports. Your football team, fine. Your basketball team, fine. Never in hockey. You don't say, hey, our team was so good in the regular season, we're going to run right through the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. It doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way in football either.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs
I have a question
just won
for Chris.
I know, but the Chiefs weren't. You doubted them all season. Like you doubted them the entire season. You could say the Chiefs just won it as if it was easy when you were their loudest critic all season.
No.
So, Chris, 3 Goosies in one video?
Separate
So
Goosies.
You
3
got
separate
Goosies.
Goosies.
They
go
went
away.
down,
Mm-hmm.
and then they came back all within one video 2 extra times?
Yep. How long was the video? The video was about 2 minutes, it felt like. It was like they go through all the names, and then they have the song and the highlights and the fight. They ended with Lomberg with the knockout punch he had. I'm telling you,
I don't think I've ever gone multiple.
No,
you never had 3
good
Goosies?
Goosebumps last. Yeah.
Nah, they come and go. Goosies come, they're gone within 5 seconds.
Who's
You
the
feel
most
it, you're like, ooh,
famous
Goosies.
Rays fan? Is it also you, Dan?
It's Dick Vitale.
Dickie V, yeah.
Hulk Hogan, no?
No, Dickie V, when he's going out to his 4:30 dinner reservations and you catch him on the street, he's there ranting and raving about the Rays, whether you want to hear it or not. By the way, R.I.P. to the Schwab.
Ah, yes.
Transition.
Mm-hmm.
Go sit in the penalty box. Billy, go sit in the penalty
2 minutes
box.
for R.I.P.?
He's purposely being just maximum dick for the first 2 hours of the show
He just
today.
said for morning?
2 minutes, morning.
He has been on one today.
I mean, just
not helping at
just
all.
unpleasant, like just deeply unpleasant.
He can't find his hat.
Just eating breakfast in the middle of things.
I mean, his baseball team is lousy.
They won 2 in a row. They won 2 in a
No,
row,
they didn't.
Marlins.
I think one of the easy analyses of this hockey series, it is an oversimplification, but if the Panthers are playing 5-on-5, they're better than the Lightning. And if the Lightning are great on the power play, so it's the only way they can win the series is to just make sure that they get a ton of penalties. But Chris Cody's saying that their pregame is a lot better, and he's got Goosies.
3.
Given that it used to be as a pregame, him and Roy leading people out of the locker room, it would be hard for it to be worse than that. Would you guys please look up for me what it is that Ryan Garcia lost in terms of money because he bet Devin Haney that he would weigh the correct amount for their welterweight championship fight and would pay, I think it's $500,000 for every pound that he was overweight. And he ended up not only being 3 pounds overweight, Stugotz, but also showing up for the weigh-in and chugging a beer while standing in the weigh-in. And this was a giant upset over the weekend because he was a 9-1 dog, and evidently Haney spent the time like training 5 times a day, and Garcia admitted afterward that he was just drinking every day before the fight.
Garcia bet $1.5 million. He lost that.
So he lost, for each pound that he was overweight, he lost $500,000. Now it is being reported that he bet $2 million on himself to win the fight, which would obviously, he says he bet $2 million on himself to beat Haney. So that's a 9-1 underdog that he would be winning $18 million on that if that's what he bet. And it was a victory for laziness, not training, conspiracy theorists,
my man,
beer drinkers. It was a big victory for them over the weekend.
Billy, you know how you said you think that the yogurt, like the frozen yogurt people, put their finger on the scale sometimes to make it a little heavier when you get your frozen yogurt?
Oh, yeah.
You think he was doing that? Like he secretly had a big toe on the scale? He's like, I got a lot of money at stake here.
It's possible.
Have you guys seen any other examples of shrinkflation? Have you seen any infuriating examples of...
ring pops are ridiculously small now, if you must know. Oh, yeah. Check a ring pop now compared to a ring pop back in the day. Not even close in size.
You're still eating ring pops?
Well, I have kids.
Kids are still eating ring... That's like the worst candy.
I'm not a doctor.
I feel like Billy would still be eating ring pops without kids.
It's like
They're not good.
It's the worst candy because like your hand gets all
It's so sticky. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's discuss this.
They're good for a bit, though.
What is the worst candy? Because my nomination would be sweet tarts.
Really?
Don't like them.
Well, worse for your teeth or just
actually,
worse tasting?
You know what? I changed that to black licorice. I changed my answer.
I think you have to eliminate black licorice from the discussion. I think that's an automatic get out of here. It doesn't even feel like candy to me.
It's not candy.
It's more like a liquor flavor than it is a candy flavor.
But it is candy, and it's not a liquor flavor. Which is the liquor flavor? That
Anise
is,
flavor, I believe. Whatever Witty drafted in that candy draft are the worst candies.
I have a nomination.
Is Jägermeister the black licorice one?
Sugar daddies. These things, I'm telling you.
I love sugar daddies.
They get
like
stuck
those
in your
too.
teeth. Like
What?
you can't chew them. They're like impossible to chew. They are impossible
sugar
to chew.
daddies every day.
Black licorice has to be a runaway winner,
yeah,
though.
brother.
I believe that Izzy is right about this, that black licorice has to be the worst of it, and then we have to go to a second category. What is the second worst of all the candies?
To me, it's the ones that get stuck in your teeth, in your mouth, like taffy.
Sugar daddies.
It's just not good enough to do all that work for.
Like dots.
Dots aren't great.
I like
Dots get stuck in your teeth.
But they're bad. I'm with you. They're not good,
Dots
though.
get stuck in your teeth? I feel
Yeah.
like they do.
Not as much as
Milk
sugar daddies.
duds.
But dots aren't chewy. Dots aren't like what he's talking about.
They're
is-
chewy.
I think so.
Never had a dot.
They're not super chewy. Like they're not in the category of where like you're putting your finger in your mouth trying to like clean your teeth after. It's the worst.
Any like hard, like you're looking at lollipops on the screen right now. Like I pass.
Where are we with the red licorice? Because to me, I mean, I feel like I'm eating wax also. I feel like in movie theaters, I've used licorice more as a straw than as actual candy.
Which are you talking about? Because if you go Vines, that's a horror, but Twizzlers are good.
I make no distinction.
I
They're both
disagree.
terrible.
I think the ones with the straw ones are better.
You think Vines are better? The movie
The ones
theater.
that Garth was eating in Wayne's World, I think I like those ones better.
I would say from the licorice category that nibs are the best. Like nibs.
Nibs are just small pieces of Twizzlers,
They're great.
basically. They're
Yes.
just tiny chewables. But if you don't think those are too, how could you think dots are too chewy and those aren't too chewy?
They don't get stuck in my teeth.
Dots.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah. I just
there's
had
the-
dots over the weekend. Stuck in my teeth.
There's
Still.
like the yellow box dots, and then there's like the thingies that are on the paper that you eat off that I think are also called dots. Yeah. Like the receipt paper.
What's the one chocolate with all the little white spots on it that I've never ordered?
I love those.
Oh, really?
Like the snow caps.
Oh, snow caps.
I love those. Yeah, those are good. So good.
I think those are called dots.
No.
They're all dots.
You don't know
It's
what
all
you're
dots these days.
describing, are you?
They can't. I'm telling you,
No.
I just had them over the weekend.
Snow caps are not dots, Stugotz. Like, what did you have? Hold on a second.
I had the yellow box of dots. That's what I had. The yellow box. They're chewy.
Those are dots.
What do you
Stuck
think,
in my teeth.
What do you think snow caps are?
Well, snow caps are like a weird version of goobers and raisinets. They're in the same family. They're chocolate with a little sugar on top, right?
That's correct.
So how's that like a dot?
Not at all.
Well, I didn't say
It's
it was
also
like a
not
dot.
like a raisinette.
I was talking about the dots that you pick off the piece of paper. That's what Jess was talking about, and I believe they're actually called dots.
That's
Different
what
dots, but they're yeah.
That's what I thought the dots were.
No, different dots.
The second live hour is going great.
Couple of dots.
Tom Thibodeau.
So
Nibs.
Wembanyama over the weekend, Stugotz, we saw some video come out of an interview he did where he said he is immune to temptation, that he doesn't have anything that he has to compensate for, and therefore he doesn't think that he will fall into drugs or alcohol, or he didn't mention women. He didn't mention that as a temptation, but he said specifically, I don't have anything to compensate for, therefore I am not someone who can succumb to temptation. And a lot of people took it as a sign of maturity, and I'm like, be careful. Be careful about what it is that you're saying there, because I don't believe that you know exactly what it is, the temptation, all of it, that is about to head your way, because he has gotten, he'll win Rookie of the Year. It's Chet Holmgren he's up against, and he will win Rookie of the Year, but he is not yet the star he will soon be when he's running this league. He's been someone, Stugotz, who has gotten used to, obviously, since he's from a young age, he's comfortable in his own skin, and usually when you are that kind of size as a young person, it will screw with your confidence, because I've told you before, Kevin Durant used to pray to be shorter because you just don't want to stand out so much as a kid. But he seems to have an unusual amount of confidence and maturity for his age. So let's hear what he had to say to the Ringer.
I just feel like I'm immune to like the things people try to tell me, oh, pay attention to this, or watch out, all the bad things like,
distractions.
Distractions, exactly, like partying, like alcohol, drugs, whatever, like. Why would I ever do that?
You're just so focused on what it is that you desire.
Yeah. And also, I don't have nothing to compensate for, because I choose to face all the like trauma, not really trauma, because I've had a good childhood, but like all the things that we have inside of us.
Well, he's clearly never hung out with James Harden, because that time is coming where he will have temptations placed in front of him. But I do think of a comparison, and it happens to be a guy that he talks about he wants to play like. Kevin Durant. Have you seen him sort of fall for any sort of temptations? Has he gotten into anything with alcohol, drugs, women? No. And he's made a whole career out of it and stayed out of trouble, other than, little burner account and all that stuff on social media. But I think he is the model right now for Wemby, and it's a pretty good one.
I don't think anyone questions how much Kevin Durant loves basketball. I don't think, Stugotz, that you can be the kind of great that these people are at basketball unless your focus is a bit obsessive and maniacal. It doesn't mean you can't succumb to temptations. It doesn't mean that you can't get soft with a lack of hunger once it is that you've arrived at some success. I do think that people underestimate, Stugotz, how hard and grueling everything around basketball is that isn't the games.
Right.
The arriving at 5 o'clock in the morning in a city because your flight's delayed, and just having your life turned upside down because every day you have to be in a ballroom on, to do a walkthrough on a road city because they just basically don't want you sleeping in after being out late all night. So they have the walkthrough in the morning just to make sure that their players have some sort of discipline that they have to answer to, even if they don't need what's given out in the walkthrough.
It's an easy thing for him to say now. We'll see how it goes the remainder of his career. I think what you and Izzy are saying is he hasn't seen real temptation yet.
I don't think it's an easy, but I don't think it's an easy thing to say. I don't see a lot of people saying that.
What's he going to say?
I'm immune to temptation. He doesn't have to
wait
say.
until I win and temptation comes my way and I'm all in.
It's not always there right in front of you. Like, you have to go seek the good times, right? I'm not saying that Shaquille O'Neal turned Dwayne Wade into a party animal, but Dwayne Wade didn't really know what it was like to be famous until Shaq got here and taught him. And so I think with your Victor, there's a little bit of naivete there that maybe at some point you're just going to start feeling yourself and say, hey, there's no way I can get in trouble. I'll just go do a little something over here. But that approach is exactly what you want to hear.
He can't be perfect. He's got to have something. Come on, what's he hiding? He's probably on his phone like 10 hours a day. Come on. I mean, all these young kids these days, they don't drink. It's like,
Right.
shut up, you're on your phone all day.
You don't have time to drink.
I'm just saying he can't be perfect. There's got to be something wrong with him. Let's find it.
You're addicted. I don't want to do that. There's plenty of time for that. Try to avoid that particular temptation. It's one the media often has.
Finding bad things.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
it's just,
yes,
if you're going
that's
to
it.
tell me how perfect you are, I'm going to do a little digging.
It is aggressive to say immune to temptation. San Antonio is not going to offer that much in the way of temptation. It will help. I don't think you've heard of a lot of star players in San Antonio getting in any kind of trouble.
Nope. Duncan, Robinson. I mean, one's an admiral.
Why do you think that is, Dan?
It's pretty boring. One of my the father's favorite vacation places, though. So strangely.
How's that river? I've heard they have a cool river.
That's all they have. I love a good boring vacation. Candy buttons. That's what it was.
I knew you had it wrong. I knew you had it wrong.